Important tips and resources for buying your home.
and then uh, about a week after that, they published an article saying, "Oh, now these condos are starting to get multiple offers on them." And the reason is the market is starting. The people in the Bay Area are very smart. They're very intelligent, and it's not. You don't have to put two and two together. It's not very difficult in order to figure out. Hey, if these homes are $2 million and I can just drive an hour to work when it takes me 30 minutes to get from one side of Santa Clara to the other side, anyways, I can just drive on the highway for 30 minutes and then drive in the city for another 30 minutes. I'm willing to take that. I'm willing to take that, risk or negative to my life or whatever it is. If I can get the home for 400 grand, I only have to put 10 or $20,000 down in order to secure the loan from the bank, as opposed to $100,000. And those are also a very good market for, I think, for the investment properties, but they're kind of still going to be coming on the downswing right now. If I had, let's say, 70 grand built up, I would put 25 grand down. I would go purchase one of those. And then I would I would have that 50 grand just in case I want to wait 2 or 3 months to find a very good tenant, so that I don't have the problems that these other landlords were having where people weren't paying. And I could have them sign a year or two lease and again, like I said earlier, incentivize them in order to stay in the property as long as possible by offering them a discount up front. And then I'm going to get somebody for that unit that cost me 300 grand, on paper, 20 grand down payment. They're going to be renting it out for $2 or $3,000. I'm going to be cash flowing, and the property is probably going to shoot back up to $1 million. And even if it doesn't go, so like if we're looking at the average prices and it's down here, even if it doesn't go above the average prices and the market's going up and crazy, if it just returns back to normal, how it was 3 months before, I made 700 grand. Now, that one's the reason I didn't mention that instead of Brentwood is because it's a little bit higher risk because, well, we don't know when the market's going to come back on the upswing there. But I think people are realizing very quickly that they should go back up there. So for condos, that's what I would be looking at. Do you have any specific cities that you want to live in, though, for primary residence, or were you looking at the condos from an investment perspective?
Yeah, I'm actually one of those people who's a bachelor working in tech. So
Awesome.
um, I
There's no
would,
problem with it.
yeah, I would actually prefer something to be my primary residence instead of an investment opportunity at this particular time. Obviously, all the information helps for
Yeah,
future.
and I mean that's what I suggest for everybody that's still in here too, is to go for a property that's going to be conducive to where you want to live, and it's going to be your primary residence first, and then go after the investment stuff. It might make sense to do otherwise if you were making what you're making here and you were living somewhere else remote and only paying $1,500 on your mortgage, and you wanted to go try to find an investment property first. Maybe it would make sense, or $1,500 on your rent, not mortgage. Maybe it would make sense to find an investment property first, but otherwise it almost always makes sense to just buy your primary residence first, because
Right.
you're going to be paying 3 grand anyways. You might as well be paying the 3 grand back to yourself at the end of the 30 years,
Exactly.
and having the 75,000, $50,000 of inflation going on for you in this market. And then you already are familiar with that house, that neighborhood and everything, and you're able to make an easier transition to renting out if it's a multiple bedroom place, maybe one bedroom, and then, and that will buffer you so you don't just have a dead drop trying to move into that second investment property. Because if you have your $3,000 you're paying for rent right now,
Mhm.
and then on top of that, you add in the fact that now you're going to be paying for a property. It's an investment, it's a risk that might be negative $200 a month. Okay, well, now that kind of sucks because now I'm paying negative $200 a month, and who knows when the rent's going to be high enough to pay for it. So it's definitely a smart move to go for that primary residence first. And if you want to start looking at some of this stuff while the mortgage rates are low right now, and while there's some good deals up there, bear in mind, for primary residence in San Francisco, and being a single woman, the crime rates up there are going up because of all
Yeah.
of the people with money moving out of the city. So
Mhm.
that's something you would want to, bear in mind, whether or not, you have a parking space in front of that condo and you're going to be able to, have a nice, safe community and everything. That is something that's very important. If
Yeah,
it's
and
an
that
investment property, then
perspective. Yeah, you asked me what locations. I was
yeah.
wondering, I'm assuming condos and buying a condo in like Silicon Valley or maybe Santa Clara, Sunnyvale, San Jose, these areas would not probably be the same thing as San Francisco right now. What would you say?
Yeah, so down here in Santa Clara and stuff like that, because again, because of the COVID thing and everybody moving down here.
Join our weekly webinar. Call us now at 408 763 8131 or scan the QR code.